This is the Ecofeminist Podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Hugema. Ecofeminism is a movement that applies feminist principles to ecological issues. We are set out to debunk the myth that feminism is for females only, and that environmental issues are something we are just going to have to accept. The people I interview here are social change makers making an impact in the world. These changes can be big or small, and all changes in any shape or form matter, whether they are inspired by businesses, people, or nonprofits. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to another episode of the Ecofeminist Podcast. Today I get to speak with Emily Casey of FEMNA, based in Berlin. Love that city. And it's a herbal supplement company for women. So anything that a woman can have discomfort in, hormone imbalances, like PMS, cramps, fertility, or detox and beauty. So herbal supplements for all of these various different things that women deal with in their day-to-day life. And these herbal supplements can offer ease and comfort with these certain ailments that you or I might be dealing with. So yeah, super important company. Love talking to her. And it's also really interesting and cool to dive deeper with her into some of the modern ways we think about being a woman in this day and age. Like there's a lot of things that were very good for women, like for example, the pill, but there are also downsides to the pill. And yeah, just a different way of thinking about all these things that we've considered normal in our lives. I think a lot of you and I and Emily went on the pill for various reasons. And maybe you did or didn't like being on the pill. And of course, it has a lot of benefits, but there are also some setbacks. So yeah, interesting conversation. Hope you like it. Let me know what you think on Instagram and Facebook. All right. Emily, so great to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Ellen. It's so nice to be here.
So nice to have met you last week and to speak with you again. And I think it would be nice to start at the beginning. So let's talk a little bit about you and your life before FEMNA.
Sure. So I grew up in Australia, in a sleepy seaside suburb of Melbourne. Mum and dad are educators. So dad, professor at university, and mum's a math teacher. So I guess academia was always really important in my family. I grew up a musician. I grew up, music was my passion. And I always kind of thought that I would end up being a musician as a career. But dad being the academic, he wasn't so excited about that. And so when I finished high school, I took a year off and I traveled. And it was my first time going to Europe. I did some work in East Timor, and I came back from that trip feeling like I want to save the world. I want to save the world from all the injustices, all the inequalities and everything. And so I came back and started to study international development. And yeah, those studies, they took me to Paris, and I ended up living in Paris for 3 years, and I ended up studying Arabic, and I lived in the Middle East for a while. And I never really had any big grand plans for what I wanted to do after my studies or with my studies. But eventually life took me to Berlin, and I haven't looked back. So Berlin's kind of been the city where I've spent most of my time for the past 3 years. And it's the longest that I've stayed in one particular city. For my adult life, so it's doing pretty well.
Nice. So how is Berlin? Do you really like it? Do you see yourself staying there? Do you feel comfortable in the culture?
Yeah, Berlin is fascinating as a city. It really does have something for everyone, I would say. Berlin is a place where I feel like you can really be yourself, and there's kind of no judgment, or you can be as crazy as you want, or conservative as you want, or do whatever. You can come in and out of different phases of your life, and there'll always be someone there to celebrate that with you, or to be there when you're not doing so well. And there's just kind of no judgment, and that's very freeing. And I think that's why I've stayed in Berlin for so long. Yeah.
Nice. Sounds like Amsterdam in the 80s.
Yeah.
Amsterdam has kind of lost its nice and free touch, but I think a lot of people in Amsterdam most of the people I know love Berlin because it reminds them of the freedom we used to have. But yeah, Amsterdam has changed a little bit. Okay, so you met your business partner Maxie at just the right time. So let's dive into Femna now. And so how did that encounter go with meeting Maxie, and how did you decide to go into business together, and how was Femna born?
Yeah, so meeting Maxie was really just incredible timing, and for both of us. So I never
Maxie
really
German?
planned. Sorry?
Is Maxie German?
She's German, yes, she's German. I never planned to move to Berlin per se. I came here. I was living in Iran previously, just before I came here, and I had to leave quite quickly and quite unexpectedly. And I just called up my friend in Berlin and said, "Hey, do you mind if I come and crash at your place for a week?" And I met this friend in India when we were doing our yoga teacher training together. So I came to Berlin for no real reason, but it just happened. Life just happened, and I just really stayed. So I arrived in October of 2015, and by about April, May of 2016, I was kind of wondering why I was still here. I was doing freelance work that I could do from anywhere in the world. I was teaching yoga. I had another little side business. So I was doing bits and pieces here and there, but I was kind of looking for something more. And so I connected with the Impact Hub community. So Impact Hub is a co-working community. They have hubs all over the world. And everyone who is a part of this Impact Hub community is working on a business or a project or something with a social edge, with a social aspect to it. So I became a volunteer community host at Impact Hub, and that's where I met Maxie. So she was also doing the volunteer community host program as well. And we met, we exchanged stories. I told her about my background and what the business that I was working on, which was organic skincare products made from unused coffee. And she told me about her background, and her background is incredible. So her first business is called Ruby Cup, and it's a menstrual cup. So it's an alternative to the tampon. And while she was growing, building, running Ruby Cup, she found that a lot of women would get in touch with questions like, how do I relieve my menstrual cramps naturally? I get them every month. I don't want to take ibuprofen anymore. What can I do? So questions like this would roll in, and they would be anywhere from menstruation products, PMS, all the way up to menopause. And she found that there wasn't anything that she knew of. There was nothing on the market. There was no one-stop shop, one brand, one trusted place that she could point women to and say, go use this, go do that. I recommend this. And so she wanted to offer solutions for all these questions, all these ailments that women were coming to her with. So that's where the idea of Femna was born. And then it was at this stage that we met, and we just started brainstorming. And at this point, she wanted me to develop some products for Femna. And so we would develop product ideas, and eventually we just decided to go in full force 100% and do it together. So we started to think about, okay, what is it that we want to offer? What is Femna exactly? Is it a platform that we just sell other products, or is it our own brand? And we decided that we wanted to make our own brand because we wanted to really ensure that everything that we're putting out there to the world, we know exactly what's in there. We know the quality because we've been there, we've done that, we've tested it. We want to know that everything's organic, that the supply chain is ethical, that everything that goes into what we give out to the world, it's done with love, and it's done from personal experience, and it's done from us. So that's why we decided to create our own brand versus creating an Amazon for women, for example. So from there, we started to research, ask questions, think about the most common ailments that women experience, all the things that we go through. We could have started with just only covering menstruation problems, so menstrual cramps or heavy bleeding, things like that. That was a consideration, but then we're thinking about all these, we go through all these shifts and variations in hormone fluctuations, and they're all so connected and intertwined. So yeah, I might have menstrual cramps, but I also get PMS. And, maybe I want to have a baby eventually, and then, there'll be fertility hormones that I need to take into consideration. So we really wanted to create the one-stop shop for women that they can come to no matter where they are in their life, whether they're experiencing PMS, menstrual problems, fertility problems, they're pregnant, or they're going through menopause, and they know that what they're getting from us is trustworthy, and it works, and it's organic, and to create that safe space for women to come to. So that's what we decided to do, and that's what we're working on now.
Very cool. Love it. And so necessary, and also a topic that needs to be talked about a lot more, which I feel like we are talking about it a lot more.
Definitely.
So, and if you meet someone on the street or at the Impact Hub and you tell them what Femna is and like your short elevator pitch, I guess, what is it?
Mm-hmm. So. Interesting question. It definitely depends who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a man or a woman, for sure. Elevator pitch, we've played around with so many different wordings, I guess. So basically, we create herbal products for women for every stage of their life that targets really specific ailments or symptoms that they experience as a result of the fluctuations in hormones that we naturally experience. If I say that to a man, and this is a complete generalization, I'm not saying this applies to all men. If I use the word hormone or women's issues or things like that, then they don't understand what it is that we do. So we play around with words like functional herbs, medicinal herbs, things like that, so that we can communicate that, yes, everything we do is based on herbs, but there's a function to it. So we don't create beauty products, for example. We don't do makeup. We don't do natural shampoos and things like that. Simply because we just want to be known as Femna is the place where you go to find relief for specific symptoms that you experience.
Beautiful. And what's your product range right now? So
we have categories of menstruation, PMS, fertility. Pregnancy is in development at the moment, which is very exciting, and will be released in September of this year, 2018. We have menopause, and we have general well-being. So things like detoxes and sleeping, things that help general every day-to-day life.
Wow, amazing. And have you, I assume you also take some products yourself. What is your favorite, or maybe 2 or 3 favorites?
So for my menstrual cramps, I use our Loosen Up roll-on. So it's an essential oil roll-on. Oh. I love it. Oh. It contains ginger. It's got frankincense and sweet orange. And I just roll it on my lower back and on my ovaries, and my cramps just go away, which is pretty cool.
Magic.
So I really love that. I'm lucky that I don't suffer from excruciatingly painful cramps. So if any of your listeners have very, very bad cramps, then we have a tea called Zero Toler Cramps. And that's a tea that you can drink 2 to 3 times a day, and that will ease stronger period pain. I also love our Sleep Well roll-on, and that's just a really lavender and marjoram roll-on that I just roll on my temples if I can't sleep at night. And the PMS teas are really amazing too. So for me, my PMS is kind of all over the place. And so sometimes I experience anxiety. Sometimes I feel a bit down. Sometimes I have too much energy. So we've created a range of different PMS teas to target very specific symptoms of PMS. So our No Woman, No Cry tea is to help depression or feeling down, feeling sad. We have a Take It Easy tea, and that's for if you feel anxious or hyperactive, hyped up. We have one called Confusion Infusion, and that's for general PMS. If you kind of feel a little bit of everything, all of the above. I mean, when we survey our customers and survey people around us, and we say, what symptoms do you feel? during PMS, the majority say a little bit of everything. So all of the above.
Yeah.
So we have one just that covers, the general broad spectrum of PMS symptoms as well.
Nice. Good names too.
Yeah, we try to have fun with the names, and that's kind of what we're trying to do, because we see that there's no fun in this stuff. There's no fun in herbal tinctures and things like that. It's all very serious or very witchcrafty or old school, and it can be fun. I mean, it's not a very sexy topic, hormones and herbs and that kind of stuff, but that's what we want to change. That's exactly why we exist, because it doesn't have to be boring. So Maxie and I had a lot of fun coming up with those names and road testing them. But yeah.
I think it also lowers the threshold as well. Women who might think, oh, it's not for me, I'm not that type of person, they'll be like, okay, this is cool.
Give it a try.
Yeah.
At least for the fun name.
Okay, and now to the formulation. Do you call it formulation, or the combining of the herbs? So you have an expert circle. Can you elaborate what that is, and about how the herbs are combined, and like the amounts that are in a mix and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not an herbalist, neither is Maxie. So we rely heavily on, and we work really closely with our expert circle. So our expert circle consists of a couple of herbalists. So we have a number of herbalists that we consult with. We have a doctor, we have a pharmacist, we have a food scientist, a midwife, and together we come up with the formulations. So Maxie and I, we kind of decided on, okay, these are the kind of ailments that we want to treat. And that was difficult enough, because there are over, I think, 150 medically recorded symptoms of PMS. So we had to kind of, pick what are the most common ones. So we started off with 50 products actually when we first launched last year, and worked with our expert circle to create the formulations. Now, the problem with medicinal herbs, they don't taste very good. And it can be difficult to ask a woman to take this particular herbal tea every day for a few months. If it doesn't taste good, she won't do it. I wouldn't do it. I mean, we live in an age of convenience, and, and we value things like taste and smell and things like that. So we worked with our circle to come up with the initial formulations, and then we optimized them for taste. The problem with optimizing for taste is that if you introduce other herbs into the equation, they can also interfere with the efficacy of the active herbs. So we took a long time to tweak them, to tweak the recipes and the formulations to make sure that they tasted good, they tasted well, and also didn't lose their efficacy. And for us, taking a holistic view on health is really important. So we don't just want the opinion of a herbalist. We want the opinion of a doctor. We want the opinion of a pharmacist, of a midwife, because I don't think that one person can give you, or one train of medical thought can give you the answers for everything that you need to live your best life, to live the most healthy life that you can. So yeah, that's kind of the stance that we take, this holistic view of health and well-being.
Nice. And how do they taste? Now they're tasty?
They're so tasty. They're really good.
I would drink them, I think, if they were disgusting, actually. You just chug it.
Yeah.
Let them cool down. Or do they have to stay hot? Can you also make it warm, brew it hot, and then have it cool down and then drink it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You definitely
That's
can.
What I would
so for the summertime, iced tea all the way. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I guess it is nicer if it tastes good. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, okay, interesting, the expert circle. A lot. And do you try it out when you had the formulations? I assume you need to also try it out on actual women.
Absolutely.
So did you have like a test panel and yourself maybe?
Yeah. So we tried everything ourselves. We went through every single formulation and tasted everything. It was very delicious. Also very disgusting at the beginning. It was like, oh, I would never drink this. No, we need to work on this one. So that was really interesting. But definitely. So we had many events. So we had our first launch event really. And that was where We had 150 women come and meet us in person, try our products, taste everything, smell everything, give us feedback. And we're constantly asking for feedback. I mean, just this week, actually, I started to reach out in person to every single customer that we've had since October of last year. And I emailed every single one of them personally. I looked through, what have they ordered? Have they ordered again? And I wrote to them. I'm starting to get through our customer list and asking for feedback, because it's the most valuable thing that we can possibly get is the feedback from women who are experiencing Femna and buying our products and using them. So that's really part of our company culture, is to constantly take on feedback and to constantly improve and grow and give women exactly what they want. So from those 50 products that we started with, we're now down to 34, because we found that some weren't efficient, some didn't work, they didn't taste good, women didn't want them, they didn't buy them. So we're constantly, fluctuating, changing, cutting, adding, things like that.
Yeah, nice. So now, practical question: you ship worldwide, don't you?
We definitely do.
Okay,
Yes.
That's good. My audience is worldwide, so
Yes.
they'll be happy. So I would like to move on to hormones, because I assume in the years or that you've been doing this, that you've learned a lot about hormones. So
Yeah.
how can herbs help women, and like, how do they help? What can you expect?
Mm-hmm. So first, I guess maybe it's important to start with what is a hormone, because I think, we know the word hormone, but do we know what it actually is? I know I didn't. For the longest, I've spent more of my life living in ignorance of what a hormone actually is, than knowing what it is, like really knowing what it is. I don't remember ever learning this at school or my doctor ever explaining it. Even when I was prescribed the pill to treat an hormone imbalance that I have, I was never told anything. So basically, I guess in layman's terms, and I'm not an expert, I should say, but so my understanding, a hormone is a chemical messenger, pretty much. That's all it is. And hormones control most major bodily functions. So our hunger levels, our mood, our emotions, and for women, our reproductive system. Men also have hormones as well as women, we should say that. And we have very different hormones. And that's what makes us women and makes men men, the difference in the hormones that we have. So we have various shifts in our hormonal balance throughout our lives. So puberty, menopause, they're like prime examples of major shifts that we as women will go through. Some of these shifts, they can produce symptoms, or they can produce health issues. And these symptoms can range from just being mildly uncomfortable to really, really debilitating. So in the worst case, our hormonal changes can make it really difficult for women to really live their best life. So understanding how these hormones interact with each other, I think that's really important for all of us to know about, so that we can really take control of how our hormones affect our day-to-day life. So, and I really wish that this was something that was taught in schools. I don't know how it is for you guys in Amsterdam, if you talk about it, but certainly where I grew up, we didn't talk about this stuff at all. So really quickly, hormones, female sex hormones 101, they're estrogen and progesterone and testosterone are the main female sex hormones. So estrogen, that's the one that's responsible for making cells grow. It develops the uterus, breasts, periods, pregnancy, and the egg within the ovary. However, if there's an excess of estrogen, it can be toxic. Like that saying, like, too much of a good thing is bad for you. So too much estrogen will be bad for you. And this can result in a number of debilitating or mildly uncomfortable symptoms like weight gain and things like that. So we have progesterone here to balance out estrogen. So progesterone, it's the regulator of estrogen. I call it the queen of the second half of the menstrual cycle. So it's also really essential that progesterone is there to maintain a pregnancy until term. So that's the role of progesterone during pregnancy. Progesterone can also help maintain blood sugar levels. It protects breast health and bone health and things like that. So it has a number of different roles. So estrogen and progesterone, they're created primarily in the ovaries. And progesterone is only made at ovulation. So when an egg is released, when ovulation happens, progesterone comes in and it's pumped out for the rest of the cycle. So, for example, if we don't ovulate, for whatever reason, we're taking the pill, our ovaries are getting old, we're aging, we're going through menopause, for whatever reason we don't ovulate, then our bodies won't produce progesterone to keep estrogen levels in check. So then what's created is an estrogen dominance. So there's too much estrogen in our bodies. So estrogen dominance, as I said before, it can result in weight gain, water retention, PMS, mood swings, endometriosis, and in the worst case, breast cancer as well. So it's really that lack of ovulation, as I said, whether it's due to taking the pill or for other reasons like too much stress, can cause menstruation to cease. A really restricted diet, for example. I think over-exercise. A lot of professional female athletes don't menstruate actually because their body is under constant stress. So it's not in a prime position for making a baby. So the body's like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to ovulate. You're not good. So that's what can really cause estrogen to drop about 40 to 60%, for example, with the pill. But then progesterone will actually drop to sometimes 0. And that's when we get the most debilitating symptoms. So really optimal hormone health, it's all about the ratios of estrogen and progesterone. And
it sounds like it fluctuates during your cycle. So then you have higher progesterone and then estrogen.
Absolutely. So estrogen is for the beginning of a cycle. So estrogen is what allows an egg to be released, and it develops the egg, and it gets the uterus lining ready. And then when the egg is released, that's when progesterone comes in and takes over the second half of the cycle. So what herbs do, herbs work to regulate the hormones. So if we take a synthetic pain reliever like an ibuprofen or a paracetamol or something because we have cramps, what that will do, it'll take your pain away, most likely, and it will take it away pretty quickly, but it won't ever treat the underlying cause of that pain. So I kind of see synthetic pain relievers like ibuprofen, for example, they're a bit dumb. It attaches to all the pain receptors in the body, and it will take away all the pain, which can be great. But what herbs do is it goes deeper than that. It goes beyond that, and it really treats the underlying cause by balancing the hormones. So that's why we believe in the use of herbal products as opposed to synthetic treatments for this kind of stuff.
So are there specific herbs that you would have to take, like, for example, to get the progesterone up or the estrogen down? Or is it you just know that the herb mix that you take for PMS or fertility that they are taken at a certain time? Or are they maybe even magical that they sort of adjust to what your body needs?
So there are balancing herbs that we use. So it's not about producing more or less of a certain hormone, but it's about creating balance. There are certain herbs then that will target specific ailments. So for example, in our PMS teas, because we have those specific symptoms that we target, so depression or anxiety or water retention and things like that, it's those certain active herbs that will target those specific symptoms. But then, for example, we have our in-sync teas. So we have in-sync 1, in-sync 2, and they work to balance that ratio of estrogen and progesterone.
Oh, and what is the difference between 1 and 2?
So there's 2 different phases of your cycle. So you have the first half, the second half. So the estrogen is kind of the queen of the first half, and the progesterone is the queen of the second half. So the herbs that we use in those, they work to balance out the essential ratios that should be present in your body during that first half and then during that second half.
And is the first half after the ovulation or after menstruation?
So it's when estrogen is dominant, that's the first half.
Okay.
And then progesterone is the second half. When the ovulation has happened, the egg is there and it's ready to be fertilized.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. My gosh. So I would like to talk about the pill because I was on the pill. I think we talked to you were also on the pill, right?
Yeah, I was on the pill for 10 years.
10 years, yeah. So what advice can you give women who are on the pill, off the pill, have just come off the pill? Like, what does the pill do? And should we maybe even avoid the pill? Was that something that's...
It's a controversial topic. It really is. So my story with the pill, I guess, and I'm not an expert. So, and I don't want to dole out advice to women. We're all so individual and all of our needs are very specific. And maybe the woman next to me is on a pill for a completely different reason than I am. Her body interacts with the pill differently than mine does. I can just speak from my experience and my story. But when I was 15, I was prescribed the pill to treat, and I say that in inverted commas, quote unquote, treat my polycystic ovarian syndrome. PCOS, it's a hormonal imbalance. The rates of PCOS have been increasing every single year for the past 10 to 15 years. And I don't know if that's down to there's just more research on it, so it's being diagnosed more frequently, or if, prevalence is actually increasing. The debate's still out on that, on what's actually happening, why there are more and more women being diagnosed with this. The symptoms can vary greatly. So the woman sitting next to me with PCOS can have really different symptoms to what I have, to what you have, to what the next woman will have. But basically when I was 15, I was only getting a period like once or twice a year. As a 15-year-old, I thought that was great. I was like, yes, only once or twice a year. Like, what 15-year-old, what adolescent likes menstruation, likes bleeding? Like, it's not sexy, it's not fun, it's very taboo. We go through high school. I mean, I went to an all-girls school. Even in an all-girls school, we wouldn't talk about periods. We would hide our tampons, we'd hide our pads. Like, if you found yourself at school and you didn't have a tampon, you'd be like, to the next girl whispering next to you, do you have a tampon? Like, it was a real hush-hush kind of thing. So it's not a fun thing. So as a 15-year-old, I thought that was great. I was like, I'm awesome. I only get my period once a year. But then someone a little bit older and wiser told me, hey, that's actually not normal. You should be menstruating every month. So maybe you want to get that checked out. So I did. And I got an ultrasound on my ovaries and a blood test, a hormonal test. And the conclusion was polycystic ovarian syndrome. My doctor said, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's not life-threatening. We'll just put you on the pill because that will regulate your irregular periods. So now you'll have a period every month. And I was like, okay, no questions asked. It was a really quick in and out doctor's appointment, nothing. So I was put on the pill. I hit my early 20s and I started to experience really debilitating migraines. So much so that I would be in hospital. The migraines would last for 3 days. There was no pain reliever that could relieve me of my pain, of the aura that I would experience. So I would see black spots and everything, light, sound, I couldn't handle it. I would just have to be horizontal in bed in a dark room with lots of painkillers for 3 days. And so eventually a different doctor said, okay, you need to stop the pill because what the pill is doing is it's restricting blood flow to your brain. And then, your risk of stroke is very high. And I said, oh, but I can't because I've got PCOS and this is, treating my PCOS, blah, blah, blah. And my doctor said, no, you don't need it. You can treat it naturally. You need to get off the pill because this is more important. Your risk of stroke is is more important than
Yeah.
treating your PCOS.
Good doctor.
So, great doctor. Very
Yeah.
lucky. I'm grateful for those migraines because if
Yeah.
I didn't have those migraines, then maybe I'd still be on it today.
Yeah.
So I came off the pill and my body was like, what the hell? Like, 10 years of being on the pill, and then all of a sudden I'm off it and my body just went blah, and I put on 10 kilos. I experienced PMS for the first time in my life. I cried during movies all of a sudden. Like, I had never cried during a movie before, and people or friends would kind of like not call me heartless, but say like, how could you not cry through this particular movie? It was so sad. And I don't know, I just would never cry. So I was crying during movies. My sex drive was much higher now that I was off the pill. Like, so good and bad things happened. But certainly my symptoms of PCOS started to appear. The most annoying one being weight gain. I mean, 10 kilos of fat gain is not fun. And not knowing like how to handle it. And yeah, so that's really where my just crazy research into all this stuff started happening, was because I was just going through all these changes and I couldn't find any dependable, reliable resource out there. Any gynecologist I would go to would just tell me, oh, you should just go back on the pill again and just take the mini pill because there's no estrogen in it. It's only got progesterone. And so you won't get the migraines. And it's like, no, I don't want to go down that path anymore. So it's still relatively unknown and kind of hush hush. And there's no, real reliable source out there for education on this stuff. So that's also, I guess, my personal motivation for doing Femna is to really like just wipe the dust off some of this stuff and let's talk about it and let's bring it into the open. So I guess I should mention that what the pill does essentially is it stops ovulation. So it stops the menstrual cycle. It stops one of the most natural things that a woman's body is meant to do. And it just completely disrupts your body's natural hormonal production. So after 10 years of my body not naturally producing the hormones that it should have, it was when I came off, no wonder I experienced all these symptoms, because it's like, what do we do now? Like, what are my glands supposed to do? They're not used to this stuff. They're not used to regulating my body on their own. They're used to having, this influx of synthetic hormones taking over. Advice for women on the pill, I don't know. I mean, if you've been prescribed the pill because you have acne, for example, which is really common, I would reconsider, is that the best thing for you? Is that the best course of action? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I would also say that if you are coming off the pill and you experience all of these really unpleasant symptoms, be patient with yourself, be patient with your body, and maybe educate a little bit yourself on what's actually happening and why it's happening. I think also if we as a society and the conversations that we have amongst ourselves as women, if we change the way we view menstruation and the cycle as a positive thing and not such a negative thing. I mean, we're kind of lucky that we have this monthly detox. Men don't have that. They don't get that. But our bodies are pretty cool. We're pretty smart. We have this shedding of cells every month, and it's detoxing, and it's great, and it's really healthy, and it's good for us. Someone told me, and I can't back this up, I don't know who told me this or where I found it, but someone said that the reason that women have a longer life expectancy than men is because we menstruate, because we have this monthly detox. So let's celebrate that. Let's, make it more positive. And getting your period doesn't have to be a horrendous experience. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be arduous. And that's what we're trying to do with Femna. We're trying to say, okay, there exists things in nature called herbs that can help you. through this stuff. So let's stop, talking about herbs as if it's witchcraft and esoteric, and you don't have to pray to the moon, and herbs are there and available, and has thousands and thousands of years of use cases and success. And so let's bring it to the modern woman. Let's bring it to the digital age, and make it accessible for everyone.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think what you said about the pill being a choice is such an important one, because I think a lot of women are prescribed the pill, and actually it's maybe not even a reason, a good enough reason to go on the pill, because you're kind of, just like with the aspirin or the painkiller, or what is it, ibuprofen, you're sort of just blocking something, but you actually need to address the symptoms, the cause why you're having those symptoms. Like, for example, why am I having PMS? You don't, or PCOS. You don't cover it up. It also sounds like diet and herbs are a huge part, maybe also for women with PCOS or endometriosis.
Yeah, absolutely. So not all, but some women with PCOS can suffer from high testosterone levels and insulin resistance. So they can't process sugars and carbohydrates the way they should, or the way that a healthy body would. So certainly I know that if I have a lot of sugar, my sugar levels, they skyrocket, and I'm really high for like half an hour, and then I crash, and I'm dead. I'm sleepy. I can't do it. So I know that for me, if I limit sugar and carbohydrates, then I'm flying. I'm much better. My energy levels are much more sustained, and I don't have the 3 o'clock afternoon slump and things like that. So definitely an exercise as well. Exercise really influences how I feel, and works to control my symptoms of PCOS for sure.
And are there herbs that can help with PCOS, endometriosis, or coming off the pill?
It's really individual. We get that question a lot. We get a lot of women write to us and say, I have endometriosis, I have PCOS, what can you recommend? The problem is that, I mean, PCOS, it's an umbrella term. It's not something that's like, okay, you have this hormone in particular is at this level, therefore you have PCOS, and therefore we just need to bring it down and then you'll be fine. It's really intricate. It's really delicate. So there's so many different causes, reasons that you could have PCOS or endometriosis. And because it's so individual, there's not just kind of one cure-all for these hormonal imbalances. So I would definitely recommend, if you have any of these ailments, is to get your hormones checked, get your levels checked. And I don't mean just go out and get a blood test, but get a saliva test done, so you can really see how your hormones are fluctuating throughout the day, and get a more accurate picture of your hormonal profile and what's going on.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Do you go to a specialist for that, or do you get like a home kit? Do you know?
Yeah, the laboratory that I know in particular is called Nordic Labs, and yeah, I would definitely recommend to check out their website. They have a whole range of tests that you can get done. They are quite pricey, unfortunately, which is also, a passion point of mine, like that, these tests should be available to everyone, and they shouldn't be just, available for the elite, for the people that have a decent salary. But if you can afford it, or you are in a position where, you can access these tests, then I would definitely recommend that. But if not, then, having a blood test is also good. Go to your doctor, go to your GP. And if you're in a country where you have healthcare available, then, go and ask for that test, and at least get an initial picture overview of what your hormone levels are like.
Yeah. And is PCOS something that you have it? So I'm asking you as a person who has it, but is it something that you're going to have to live with the rest of your life? So is it something that you can heal, or is it something you can manage and do the things that you said you do? Or is it something that can be healed?
That's a really good question. I mean, my doctor, the way that she initially diagnosed me and told me when I got this diagnosis of PCOS was something that I would have forever. It's just the way that I am. So there's a bunch of cysts on my ovaries. They'll always be there. You can get them removed, but I don't think there's any value in that. But I mean, she's also the one that prescribed me the pill as the cure or as the treatment. So it's a really good question. I'd like to know. I mean, I'm actually going back to get my hormone levels checked in a couple of weeks. So that will kind of be interesting to compare my hormone levels across the years and see how they've changed. I mean, now I'm not taking any kind of synthetic anything to treat my PCOS. So I'm completely, just drinking herbs and controlling my diet and exercise and things like that. So, and I feel good. I feel really good. So I'm really curious to see where my hormone levels are at and what's going on in my body. So yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that and see what's up.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're, for example, working in a co-working space like the Impact Hub, and someone you overhear someone calling someone else or calling a woman hormonal,
Mm-hmm.
what happened? What comes to mind when you would hear someone say that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too precious about this kind of stuff. I'd probably laugh and say like, yeah, aren't we all hormonal? Like, because it's true, we're all hormonal. Men have hormones too, and I think it's definitely a derogatory term. Oh, she's so hormonal. Don't mind her. She's just PMSing. We use these terms as jokes, and but at their core, they are really derogatory, and they do kind of lessen what we as women experience. And I am so lucky that my team's incredible. I'm so grateful for my team. And if I am hormonal, if I do have PMS, if I do come into work and I'm not feeling good, I can just say it out loud and be like, sorry guys, sorry everyone, I'm PMSing today. I'm not good, and it's fine. And so we have this real culture of, embracing what we experience, embracing the ups, embracing the downs as well. So I think it would be nice if society would kind of stop using words like hormonal in such a derogatory kind of way. But I definitely use it as an opportunity to change the conversation and to, but not in like an educating kind of, hey, don't say this, coming down on people and being, miss hormone and taking the fun out of it. No, like taking an opportunity to say like, hey, it's normal, it's totally fine, and we're all controlled by our hormones, and that can be a beautiful thing. It's the thing that gives us sex drive. It's the thing that makes us strong. It's the thing. I mean, if we didn't have testosterone, we wouldn't be able to lift things. We wouldn't have bone health. So let's celebrate hormones a little bit and change the conversation around it.
Definitely. So do you think in the future, in 10 years, this is going to be a normal thing? We talk about hormones. Women are allowed to take it easy a few days before their period, or?
I hope so. I really do. There's a wonderful company it's a digital media company in Mumbai called Culture Machine. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but last year they came out with this campaign, this video, and they announced that women in their company, they can take their first day of their period off. It's an off day for them because they recognize that the first day of a woman's period is often the most uncomfortable. It's the hardest. So, and in a country like India, where in particular menstruation is an incredibly difficult taboo topic, that's so inspirational for me. So if that's happening there, then I definitely see here in Germany, in Western Europe, in the US, of course, the conversation is changing, and it is becoming okay to talk about menstruation and what we go through. I mean, I looked at companies like Thinx. I really love the message that they're putting out. I'm not sure if you know Thinx. It's
yes, isn't it the underwear that already has?
Yeah. So it's period proof underwear.
Period proof underwear, yeah.
Thinks changed my life. I use Thinks exclusively when I get my period, and it's just amazing. And not being paid to say that, they're just really, I love their products, and I love the message that they're spreading and how they're doing it. They're doing it in a provocative way to get attention, but not in an offensive way. So there was, I mean, they really shot to fame when they did their fruit campaign across the New York City subway. So they had advertisements of fruit that looked like vaginas, and it was taken down because it was deemed as inappropriate. And they're like, it's pieces of fruit. How is that inappropriate? And it really shone the light on, you know, we're so scared of the female body. You're so scared. And it's the most natural thing in the world. Why? It doesn't have to be sexualized. It's not pornographic. You know, it's just natural. It's just, you know, we don't
beautiful and powerful too.
Yeah. And it, you know, gives birth to the whole, to everyone, you know,
everyone.
Then we wouldn't exist. So why are we afraid of it? And why are we afraid of depictions of the female body like fruit? Like, why is that offensive? So I definitely see the conversation changing. I love coming into contact and talking with men about this as well, because this isn't an exclusive female club, female conversation. Men need to be in on this as well, and they need to feel comfortable talking about this. I also really enjoy you know, having this conversation with men who are really uncomfortable with this. And there are a lot of them who just, like some of these, I don't know, networking events and, you know, things that you have to go to as an entrepreneur, whatever, you know, there's a lot of older, more conservative men. And again, I'm generalizing, I'm stereotyping here. This doesn't apply to all men at all. I do love men. You're great. But some of them find it really, really difficult to talk about this stuff. And when I tell some of these older, more conservative men what I do, and they just freeze up and they have nothing to say, and they look away, they look awkward, they look at their shoes, it's really difficult. And I don't blame them, to be honest. It's just the way that they've been raised. It's the way that society, you know, treats these issues. And so I use that as an opportunity to make it okay to, you know, make jokes if that's appropriate, or to, you know, say, hey, it's fine. Like, you know, it's not a big deal. Like every woman, you know, probably every woman, you know, has some kind of hormonal imbalance. They menstruate, or they've gone through menopause, or they've gone through fertility issues, or they have PMS. So it's not a big deal. It's, you know, it's totally normal, and it doesn't have to be weird. And I love seeing kind of that change from when I first meet them, of total, being completely uncomfortable, being like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's not a big deal. We can talk about it. Yeah. So it's the conversations are changing, and that's good.
I think it's so important also for mothers listening to educate your sons just as well as you do your daughters about each other's bodies as well. You don't only have to learn about your own body, but about your future partner's body, or if you're in a same-sex marriage or not, or whatever way, but learn about everyone and learn about everything, because we're part of this world and we live here together, and everyone is beautiful in their own way. And also to understand people you work with. We are, women and men equally, are working all over the world. Of course, not in a complete balance yet, but balance is being restored. And to honor these phases of the women, and to know what's going on, and to actually use it as an empowerment. Like, okay, you might be, okay, you know, you notice these types of levels. And I know a lot of men nowadays also have like the period tracker or the moon cycle tracker of their significant other.
Yeah.
To know, cool. This is like the couple days of the month that I maybe just
need to back off a little bit.
Back off a little, just because going into an argument now maybe is not the best time.
That's amazing. That's such a great idea. I love that.
So I love that conversation. And where do you see Femna in that picture of the world, and everyone appreciating each other's differences, and the hormone discussion? How do you see Femna in that picture?
Oh man, big question. I want Femna to be part of it all. I want us to be a safe space for women and men to come if they have questions, concerns, to really feel comfortable that they can talk about this stuff, that they can find solutions. So we want to provide solutions for women. We want to make women's lives easier. That's our mission. We want to do that in a sustainable way. We want to do it in a way that's good for the environment, good for women. But we also want to be a resource. We want to be a community. We want to be a place, as I said, where women can come and find out about this stuff. Where, maybe their traditional avenues, like going to their GP, they might not have all the answers. So coming to us, they might be able to find some answers. And we want to provide a holistic view of health. We want to include everyone in that conversation. So we make no exclusions. Everyone's invited to be part of the Femna family, and to be part of the conversation. We want to exchange ideas. We want to be open to everything. We're not married to any kind of dogmas. We're not married to any kind of, this is the one and only way that you should do things. No, we respect individuality, and we know that every woman is different. Every woman's needs very different. But basically we just want women to be healthy, and we want women to embrace their bodies and know that their self-worth is not based on their current hormonal state of being. Pretty much, I would say.
That's a beautiful picture you described. I also really like that you said you go to your GP and you go to Femna because you see it as a holistic, you have a holistic view.
Mm.
But I think that's also very important because as a woman and you have an issue, you don't just listen to one person. You can go to different resources and try to figure out like how to handle or manage your situation or live with your PCOS or endometriosis or painful periods in multiple ways. Without listening to just one person, because it sounds almost like it's also unrealistic, don't you think? To listen to one person and say like, okay, you know everything.
No one knows everything.
No.
And especially, doctors, for example, your GP, I think, especially where I grew up and my perception of my GP, of my doctor, was they know everything.
Yeah.
So if my doctor says this, it's set in stone, it's gold, but no, you go to different doctors for different opinions all the time. So it's not a bad thing to seek out different opinions from different medical professionals. We really encourage that.
Taking your power back as a human being, a woman with hormones and a man with hormones. So moving into a little bit of the entrepreneurial side of your business. So as a new business, I assume, I always ask this question, I assume you've overcome obstacles in your business. I like to ask this question because obstacles are opportunities, as someone recently said, which is so true. So what are some that you maybe one or two that you can give as an example for us and how you overcame it?
Completely. Completely agree with everything you just said. I see obstacles as opportunities. And every day, every week, every month, there's an obstacle. But they're definitely opportunities. This sounds really, really corny, but I'm so grateful for the journey that our business has been on, and for all these challenges and all of these obstacles or opportunities that we've had, because I really feel like it's only through going through those challenges, going through those obstacle opportunities, that we learn, that we grow, that we become better. You can't have highs without lows, and vice versa. So, we've had everything from, our very first shipment of our essential oil products were faulty. So it was just, at the time it was a nightmare. It was like, we have all these back orders, and the shipment arrived and we couldn't use it. We can't sell it. We can't send this out to our customers. We can't send this to our retailers. And so like super quickly we had to find a new manufacturer, and it was at the time a nightmare. It was a huge obstacle. It was a huge challenge, but it now forced us to find our new supplier, our new manufacturer, and they're amazing. And that wouldn't have happened without this first challenge. I mean, dealing with German bureaucracy is an everyday challenge in itself. So, I mean, I find that, one of our biggest achievements is dealing with German bureaucracy and paperwork. I think for me personally, actually, it's the biggest obstacle would probably be myself. So learning to not work so much, for example, because I tend to overwork, and I want it all and I want it now, and then I burn out, and then I'm not, working at my best. And I found myself, last year kind of, I'm running this healthcare company and preaching to women to take better care of their health, and I was burnt out myself. And so it's like, okay, where is this disconnect? Why, like, I can't be a hypocrite here and say, hey, women, like, girl power, look after yourself. And I'm not looking after myself. So I've really learned to take control of that. I mean, I don't believe in this thing like work-life balance. Like, I think, I'm not sure if this is true for other people that have their own businesses. I haven't really spoken to anyone about this actually, but I feel that, when you have your own business, it is your life, and there's no balance, because I call my business my baby. I don't have real babies. I don't have real children, but I imagine that, that this business is my baby. And so I'm always thinking about it, and it needs my love. It needs my attention. It needs my care. The baby sleeps sometimes. And when the baby is sleeping, it doesn't need my full attention, but it doesn't mean that I forget about it. It doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about it, that I'm not preparing something for it when it wakes up, for example. So it's always there. So what I've learned to do is to create restrictions or, around other people's attention from my time. So I don't have email on my phone anymore, because I was finding that I would be reading emails in my bed and I would fall asleep with my phone in my hand. And it would be the very first thing I would do when I would wake up in the morning. If I couldn't sleep at night, I would just read emails, and then my mind would just be constantly, churning away, replying to emails in my head. And so I've learned to balance that. I would say that aspect of having your own business is other people's demands on my time. But apart from that, I think about Femina every day. I live, I breathe it. It's part of who I am.
Beautiful. I have one question about the burning out thing.
Yeah.
Did their PCOS symptoms come back? Do they come back when you are like burning out, when you're working too much?
That's a good question. I can't say that I can say yes to that. I don't think they present themselves in any more extreme way. My symptoms of burnout are just extreme fatigue.
Oh yeah.
Like real, like I cannot get out of bed. Anxiety, just not being able to function, not being able to like just do really simple tasks. Like, the most simple of things being really, really difficult. That's I guess my sign that I've completely burnt out, or just, extreme fatigue, not being able to leave bed.
It's the opposite of what you want. It's always a difficult thing for people who are burnt out. Yeah, it's like you want to go, and now you can't go. So when can I go again?
Yeah.
But actually you have to not go. You need to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it easy a little.
Yeah.
I don't have that issue. I don't think I could ever burn out. I used to see it as a weakness because I always treat myself very well, but now I think I see it as a pro.
Absolutely.
So I would like to talk. So obviously your whole business is a social business. You strive for the improvement of women's lives by helping them with their hormones. So would you consider those your social goals? Do you have any other social goals in your business?
Definitely the empowerment of women and making their lives better. Absolutely. That's definitely a big social goal of ours. I personally, I want to make sure that whatever it is I'm doing doesn't impact negatively on someone else's life. So for me, that includes looking into the supply chain and making sure that all of our suppliers are working ethically, that we're not, or that we're minimizing harm to the environment, to the earth as much as possible. So that means using organic ingredients, not just for the sake of women's health, but for the sake of the environment. I mean, I would love for us to become a B Corp one day. I want to encourage more sustainable consumerism. So those are the major social goals I would say I have
Nice.
for Femna.
And then the last question I'd like to ask is maybe a piece of advice that you have received from a mentor or someone important to you in the past that means so much to you that you maybe practice it in your day-to-day life and or business.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one that you can share with us?
Yeah. I don't know where I got this from. I don't know if I read it, if someone told me it, I have no idea. But what I live by every day is the saying, I would rather apologize than ask for permission. Meaning, I would rather go out, do something, take a risk, and then make a mistake and apologize for it than be like, do you mind if I do this? What do you than asking someone higher up for their permission to do something. I've been like that my whole life. I never asked my parents for permission to do anything. And even if I did and they said no, I would always find a way to get around it and to do it anyway. And I would also add to that, especially for women, because I feel like we tend to take on other people's emotions and other people's ideas about us more so than men. Don't let other people's perception of you hold you down, but also don't rely on other people's perception of you to bring you up. Like don't rely on the praise of other people to be the thing that keeps you going. And I know it sounds really woo-woo and esoteric, but really you have to find those energies within yourself, and you have to be the one to keep yourself going, and to if someone has something bad to say about you, it's not your problem. It's got nothing to do with you. It's a reflection of them. Keep going. You're good. Keep going on what you're doing. And then again, on the other side, if you're constantly relying on someone else to say nice things about you, to really keep you going, then I would say look within and find that energy within yourself. To keep it going as well. It's obviously really wonderful and really lovely and nice when people say nice things about us, but my message to women is to look within, because we're all super strong and there's the thing inside us that's keeping us going. So
definitely super, super strong. You just need to somehow find the power within you without and not relying on outside forces to get your power, because it's all there. So that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And is there anything else you would like to share with us before we head our separate ways?
We would love to share some Femina love with your listeners. So we've actually created a special offer for your listeners. So we would love to offer 20% off for your listeners, and they can just use the code Power Women in Green at checkout, and that will give you 20% off your first order, to say welcome to the Femina family. And I would also say, we're really open for feedback, ideas, anything, everything. If you just want to say hello, if you want to say anything, please email me. So hello@femna.eu. And we want to create connections. We want to create a bigger community. So please get in touch, and let us know what you think.
You so much. Yeah, cool. I hope people take them. At least you need to try. Maybe. And what's one ease into hormone? Like, which one would you recommend for someone who's like, I don't really have a symptom, but I would like to try this, or like a dip your toe in the pool product?
I mean, we have kind of therapeutic products, like we have bath oils as well. which contain essential oils. So it's the aromatherapy that kind of soothes and calms. So they are more like, what's the word? They're nice complementary products that we have. So maybe if you don't have specific period pain per se, but you want something to just soothe and calm, try a bath oil or a body oil. We also have our well-being range that has more, like we have a tea called Be Bold, and that's for general confidence, or a cleanse one for, a detox. You want to go through a detox. Or relax if you just need to chill out. So yeah, maybe try some of the more calming ones.
A detox one's good too. I think in the spring we feel like we want to like clean out our house and maybe detox our bodies, get ready for the warmer season. Okay,
we actually had one customer tell us that her and her boyfriend, they drink our detox tea after a heavy night of drinking. So to help their hangovers, they brew a pot of our detox tea, and that helps to like clean everything out nice and quick, and they feel really good. So also summer hangover cure, why not?
Cool. All right, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for doing what you're doing. It's so important. I can't stress this enough. I really do hope it's going to become a normal topic, and that Femna is going to be a huge part of this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope it was useful for you in any way. And if you're inspired to check out Femna's products, please do. I'll link through to Femna in the show notes on ecofeminist.co. And let me know what you think. What did you think of this episode? Was it useful for you? Are there any ailments you currently have, or should I call them ailments, like uncomfortabilities revolving around your menstruation, or you're like diving into what types of birth control you can use that are non-hormonal, just everything. Just head on over to Instagram and Facebook and let us know what you thought of this episode and what you have been dealing with recently. Let us know what you think by using the hashtag #EcoFemMag, and catch us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube @EcoFemMag. And did you like this episode? Then please consider leaving a rating and review on iTunes. It means the world to get your feedback. If you want to reach out for collaborations, then send an email to hi@ecofeminist.co. Want more? Check out articles about social change, environment, nature, business, feminism, female power, beauty, fashion, and travel at www.ecofeminist.co. Thank you for listening, and I hope to catch you there or in the next episode.